Hi, friends. It's just me on this episode 3 of the Midwest No Bounds podcast. So, we're going to talk about plans that I have coming up and just, what's pretty much what's going on. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about me and why and how I got started with creating these videos and sharing my road trip travels. So, let's get going. Why don't you join me with a nice cup of hot coffee, little morning chat. Actually, I don't like coffee, so I wish I liked coffee. People look so happy drinking coffee, but I don't like it. So, anyways, if you noticed from my last 2 episodes, I would have my husband with me and we would do the podcast together. But he's not here. He's off on a business trip to Las Vegas. So by the time you see this, he'll be back at home. So, but I just, everything has just been so crazy busy. My goal from the get-go, when I first started doing Midwest Snowbounds, I always wanted to do a podcast with once a week. Well, I mean, when I was trying to figure things out, I was like, you know what? I really want to do a podcast with this. Go on these road trip adventures and have the podcast in there, kind of filler in between. And my goal is to be doing this once a week. Well, doing it once a week, it's kind of difficult when, because my husband's not always available to be able to do the podcast because he's busy with work. We end up having plans, just, stuff like that. So I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and do the podcast once a week, just have it as me if it needs to be, just to, keep the contact going with all you guys, let you guys know what's going on, or, some future plans that I have up ahead, just to say hello. So I think what I'm going to do is, even if it's only just a 10-minute video of me just having a chat, at least then I'm keeping that connection, because the big reason why I was really wanting to put this, whole road trip Midwest No Bounds together was not only just to show all of these neat places that are just around us, but also to just have to build a community, just a road trip community. So at some point when I get enough subscribers, I don't have a set number, but when I feel like there's enough subscribers, I'll probably start doing a live stream so that way we can actually do chatting. So that way, if you guys have any questions or comments or just, hey, just saying hi, like, I think that would be a lot of fun. So that is something that I do have planned in the future. So, but yeah, it has just been so insane busy, and just every time I had set up some sort of plans to go out and do filming somewhere, because I mean, I have places of where I want to go and just like a quick thing and all that stuff, but the plans just kept falling apart. It's just been so frustrating. But it might be my next road trip. I'm not fully sure, but my daughter finally got her braces taken off. And if you're on my Facebook, and then I should have shared it on Instagram too. Yeah, I definitely shared it on Facebook, where I took her to a candy shop, and it was just pictures that I shared. I didn't take any video or anything like that. But there were 2 other candy shops that I really want to go to that just seemed like fun and just wanted to check out. So I was going to make a whole road trip episode of that, of going to these 3 candy shops and, having my daughter pick out candy and like all the forbidden candy that people with, you know, people can't have with braces, like the caramel and the taffy and all that gummy stuff, gum, popcorn. So yeah, those. But yeah, I found 2 other places that looked like a lot of fun, and the one that I took pictures of I have been to before. The other ones I have not. So I really wanted to put a video together, but my daughter had, we had to, that day she got those braces off, we just had to go to the candy shop. So And the time frame, I just didn't have time for bringing my video camera. So I was just taking some quick snap, you know, shots and everything. And so then I was like, oh, I'll just do the video later. And just stuff kept just happening where it wasn't working and taking the video. My daughter has school. She's got to go to school. So that schedule on there and stuff. So, but that is coming up for a road trip adventure of checking out these candy shops. And I think it'll be fun to share those and and seeing all the sweet treats and everything. So I do have that coming up. I also have another episode coming up where I was going to do more of like a, I don't know if I would call it a challenge, but definitely a game. I don't know if my husband's gonna want to do it, but I asked my daughter if she wanted to do it. She loved the idea. Where there's this one grocery store that's actually not far from us, and it's like a Polish market, but they also have other food from other countries, and so I thought it would be a fun game to try out this type of food that we've never had before and share that with you guys. So that's also going to be coming up too for another episode. But it's definitely one that I got to have my daughter with so that we could do that together and everything. So that one is coming up too. But there are definitely a lot of places that I am going to get to at some point, as long as just the plans stop falling apart. Because every time I did something where I was like, oh, I should be able to go do it, then all of a sudden it just got mixed up. And I have gone to 2 other places that were worth sharing and filming and stuff like that, but it was out with friends. It was like a surprise visit, and then it was planned to go out and eat, but then times got like all screwed up. And plus, two, the people that are in my life are very important to me, and I don't need the camera around like all the time. I want to be present with them and like talking and hanging out with them and everything. So it's one of those where there's certain situations where it's like, oh, this would be so great to come back and film it and share it and everything. It's just, then it turns in the complication of like, okay, when we got to do this and we got to do that. But yes, I do. I know I've been a little bit MIA on the social media and coming on here for doing my YouTube videos and everything, but I will be more punctual, at least about this part, so that we can keep it going, and then there's some sort of connection. But yes, I do have a lot of plans coming up, and I especially have a real big one coming up later this month. And I'm so excited for that one. And the reason is because we're going to Florida. I'm spending the week in Florida. So unfortunately, that one, my husband's not able to come with. But that's okay. So as you could tell from my videos, I have 2 kids. I got my little guy. I got my daughter. So my parents really wanted to take them, just do a short, quick trip down to Disney World. So yes, Florida, Disney World. I'm obviously not a local in Florida, so I am definitely going to be doing videos and sharing that with you guys. If I'm able to give some tips, I will. So the videos are going to be more of you guys joining me along with on the road trip. And of course, I'm going to be showing around everywhere. If there's tips, I will give out tips because I've been there so many times. I got kids. Come on. Disney is a very nostalgic place for me. I always loved it as a kid, but yeah. Don't be hating. Yeah, but even though I have been down there so many times, there's a lot of stuff that I haven't even done yet. There's even like locals that go down to Disney. They go to Disney like all the time, like weekly, and they still haven't been able to do everything just because there's so much to do there. And just the imagination and the artistry that they have of like doing the buildings and everything. It's amazing. It really is. It really is. I have an idea of how I want to be doing the filming and everything that I want to be sharing, But at the same time, I have to fly by the seam of my pants because just, things just get, you don't know how it's going to turn out once you get down there and everything. So, I mean, my videos, I'm going to have a bunch of different videos, but I'm just going to have to see how this goes. So all I know is that I'm going to have fun, and I'm so happy to be sharing it with all of you guys. So now that you have an idea of what's coming up and what I'm planning on doing, let's talk a little bit about, well, me, so you can get to know me, who I am, and how and why I got into creating content and doing this podcast and doing the road trips and traveling. So before getting involved into all this, I am actually a licensed massage therapist. I was working full time before kids. When I had my daughter, I went back and worked part time. When I had my son, things changed. He absolutely refused the bottle. And so, luckily, with the job that my husband has, I am able to be a full time mom. Well, then there also, he's starting to grow up. There's also the realization of, well, do I want to go back into massage therapy, or do I want to try to do a career change? I have always, from when I was younger, I've always wanted to be in radio, but I never got involved into doing it because you have to live where that job is. But that's the unfortunate side of radio. Where you're forced to move that way, you're forced to go that way. That's where the station is. That's where you have to be. So I didn't want the job to be forcing me on where to go. And I have a hobby of taking pictures and just doing the camera work and everything. Unfortunately, that is a job that is hard. Like the demand for it, it's hard to get into because of what's available. And I wanted to make sure it was something where I was going to be able to make like a good living on. And I mean, there's some people that can make a really good living on doing photography or working the video cameras and stuff. But it's pretty risky on career wise, because sometimes you're just not going to find the right work. So that one was just too risky to get into, of like, I'm not able to find anything, or it's just like working there isn't going to work. So I ended up being a massage therapist. How that all got together, I don't know. But now I have more of a passion with how times have changed, where podcasts have become so popular, and just now with YouTube, of everyone taking, making these videos and everything, it's just like, you know what? And I'm in control of this. I control of what I want to be shared and everything. Those people with those reality shows, they end up saying, oh, I didn't like that, or oh, they made it look like this. Well, I have control of this. So it's one of those where it's like, you know what? This is more of my passion rather than just a job. And I want to give it a shot and see where this takes me. And so I don't know. Hopefully people like me. That's the one thing, is that people have to like you. Like, I don't know. Are people going to like me? And so since I'm in a position where I'm able to try it, I'm giving it a try. And we'll just have to see what happens. So I am thrilled that I've been able to get 10 episodes in, and I really hope that I'm able to keep going and get to 100 episodes. That would be absolutely, oops, I'm smacking the table. Sorry. I mean, I would be so excited about, reaching to 100 episodes. So I'm having to figure out the programs. The more I'm doing it, the more it's like, oh, cool, it does this. All right, awesome. And then, or I'll get an idea and stuff. And, and then it's also where you're filming yourself, and then you don't realize till later, where it's just like, oh, I don't like how that turned out, but you can't really go back and redo it. So you're kind of stuck. So yeah, that's, so it's a learning curve on that. So if you like what I have so far, it's just going to get better, because I'm going to be figuring it out. So, yeah. Come along with me now so you can enjoy more of the better stuff later. If that makes sense. Does that make sense? I like having fun all the time. So that is how I got started with doing it, and how, and now it's, and partial of the why. The other part of the why is there are some just really amazing places that are out there, and just fantastic people. And I want to be able to share that. I have a knack for being able to find some really neat, neat faces, really neat places, where I've had people come to me where they're like, "How did you know about this place?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I just found it." So, and I come from a family that has owned small business. So it's really important to me of like helping out other people, with their business. There's so many times where a company ends up like falling through, and a lot of it has to do with that people just didn't even know it was there. So it's like I want to be able to share that, and and share my, and the most important thing is to share my experience. So anywhere that I've gone, it's because I had a good time there and I enjoyed it. I don't show anywhere where I had a negative experience. If I had a negative experience, then I just leave it completely out. I'm not here to break down a business. I'm here to help share it, and share joy. And so that way, you can go and make memories with friends and family and enjoy these places too. But I don't have a negative bone in my body to just to bash down on a company. I mean, you don't know what's going on, and sometimes when you have like one bad experience there, doesn't mean that someone else is going to be having that a bad experience there. Like, just something happened, the company just had that one bad employee. So I just to focus on the positive on it, and to share it, and just have fun with it. So here's a big question that I can answer, is how that I'm able to do this. Yeah, I'm a stay-at-home mom. There's only one income coming in. How are you able to go out and do all of these road trips? Well, first off, budget. That's the big part of why this month, or just recently, everything really kind of slowed down and everything, because it wasn't only just time, but it was because my husband was going off on his business trip, and then I'm heading down to Florida at the end of the month. So he's having to go to a convention, and it's Las Vegas, and everything is expensive. He told me that a beer was like, it cost him, he only got a beer and a hot dog, and it cost him $25. So that's expensive. A hot dog is only like a few cents, for crying out loud. Not, and yeah, like it's expensive. So yeah, we're having to do that. And then with the trip down to Florida, I'm having to budget this month. That's why things are a little bit slower. You just have to plan. You have to plan. Budget, plan. But you also have to have the correct setup with your finances too. I'm not going to get into that. That's boring. There's like, go to Dave Ramsey for that. I'm not in that. I'm here for the road trips and the traveling and the spending and all that. I'm pretty sure that Dave Ramsey wouldn't like wouldn't like my stuff. So another big question is, where in the Midwest do I actually live? Well, I'm not going to give my exact location, but I grew up, I'm actually from the Northern Illinois territory. However, since I was a little kid, my parents have a cabin property up in northern Wisconsin. The real up north. You know, the whole controversy of like, where exactly is up north? Okay, when a person, I can answer that right now. When you tell the person the location that you're going, or where you're from, and they say, Oh, you're up north, up north. That's up north. When they or the other response is, "Oh, you're way up north." That is up north. Okay? I'm ending the controversy. All right? When the person is like, "Oh, you're way up there." Oh, up north. That's up north. Okay? Cuz otherwise if you're down south or in the southern part and you say up north, then what the heck is that other stuff up there? Huh? Huh? Up and north? No, that's up north. All right? I win. Mic drop. That's it. I am done with this debate, okay? So, yes. So my parents have this cabin that they've got since I was a little kid up north, okay? So that's where I get my Wisconsin accent, my northern accent. And I also have a family history for that's up in the Duluth area. That's actually where my dad was from when he was a kid, and then the jobs and stuff were down here. So that's why I'm here in this area. I have family that live in the northern Minnesota, in Wisconsin, in the up north, and in the southern part. So I have the Midwest accent, but when I'm up north and I'm around a lot of the strong, thick Wisconsin accents, it sticks to me like glue. I get it really bad. I'll be like, "Oh no." here here we go. Here we go. And I'll even tease my dad because he doesn't have a Duluth, like the northern Minnesota accent. I'll be like, "For crying out loud, Dad, I got a more northern accent than you. Go get the tapioca, for crying out loud." Yeah, so because of the territory of, of the northern Illinois, all of Wisconsin, up in there in the UP and the Minnesota and everything, it's ingrained in me of actual road trips. When we go down to Florida, we don't fly. We drive down there. We do the whole trip down driving that whole way. In fact, this recent business trip for my husband was his very first time being on a plane. And he sent me some pictures. Yeah, so this was my husband's very first time being on a plane, going off to Vegas and flying in there. I have been on a plane, but it's been years. So, but we always do the road trips. Yeah, but he sent me pictures from the plane, and and surprisingly, he actually did a good job with it. He even took a little quick video of the landing. It looked like a smooth landing, but he said it was not smooth. It was really bumpy. So, but I think I was more nervous about him flying than he was for himself. All right. Well, I think I chatted up enough, and hopefully, the guys are a little bit more caught up with what's going on and kind of have a little bit better idea about me. I don't know. I feel like I just kind of chatted too much. So I'm going to wrap up this video. And hopefully, when I do the playback, I'm going to go, "Oh, okay, this is good." And I'm not going, "Oh my gosh, I got to re record this because it's terrible." So, but to recap, yes, I will do the podcast once. I'm shooting for it. I'm shooting for it. I am going to be doing the podcast weekly. Keep you updated whether my husband is in it or not. Just to, have fun, chit chat. When I get enough subscribers, I'm going to start doing streaming. We'll say hi we'll get like a good road trip community going on. I think it'll be a lot of fun, just let's say hi to everyone. But I'm excited for the big trip for heading down to Florida. But yeah, I'm gonna do my best to try to get one or two road trip episodes in before I go. But like I said, I got a budget for the trip. I can't be spending because I'm in the beginning stages of this whole Midwest No Bounds thing. So I have sponsors, partners, but they're more like partners. I haven't been able to gain anything coming in really. It's just I've had some perks thrown at me to help me with so that way I had opportunities and stuff just stuff like that. So hopefully I get everything's just moving better. So yeah, what will help me out so that way I can bring more of this for you. And if you enjoy watching me and enjoy coming in, is definitely subscribe. That's the big kicker that's really going to help me. Shares, of course, comment. It's going to help with the algorithm. So it's just really simple things that if you want to see more of what I can bring to you, and that's all you got to do. That is it. That is all you got to do. So yes, I really want to do the streaming and build this road trip community. Just it's just something that we all can relate about and everything. So hopefully you guys have a little bit better idea of who I am. I'm just a goof. I screw up my words. And that's okay, as long as I'm having a good time and you are enjoy watching. Because yes, I love having fun. So I'm gonna wrap this up, and I hope you guys are looking forward to the next road trip episodes and the next podcast. Say hello. I'll say hi back. And I'll catch you next time on the next podcast. Bye.